From the heart of Sacramento, where the crown stays on and the lights go off, this is the Sac Blackout Podcast. No filters, no limits, just straight raw talk. We're bringing you everything sports, music, culture, and the real conversations they don't want you to have. So when the lights go out, you already know what time it is. Sac Blackout Podcast.
This is the Sac Blackout Podcast, where we cut through all the fake news, boring takes, and social media noise. We're talking sports and culture and everything in between with no limits, no filters, and no watered-down opinions. I am your host and vice president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter, along with the other host that we got up here and the president of the Sacramento chapter, Raider Chavez, and our well-spoken, trustworthy Raider analyst, Wyatt Redding. What's going on, gentlemen?
Very good, man. How you guys doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, doing well.
So anything,
Good.
well, we had a little bit of a hiccup yesterday, and there were some things that went over the weekend also with the Mother's Day. So happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there that are watching, if you are. And if all the guys that are in here watch right now, make sure that you let your wives know that we said that. Going into what we got going on right now, we're going to be covering a lot of what's going on with the offense, and we are so excited about that. With that being said, I want to kind of talk about something real quick. So if you're thinking that this year's offense is going to be anything like last season, you're going to think again. All right. Because this season is like all about new identity. All right. There's new pieces, new energy, definitely going to have, a chance to be able to flip the script. But the biggest question isn't who's going to be on the field. I'm thinking the question is, what is the offense going to do when they attack? Are they finally going to stretch the field? Is the run game going to be able to set the tone? Or the biggest question is really, will they be able to finish the drives when it matters? Because on paper, they have talent, but we know in this league that potential doesn't really mean anything unless you execute. So we're going to be talking about offensive schemes, O-line, quarterback, everything that we're talking about right now, breaking it down here with my guys. So with that being said, Raider Chavez, what do you think that the goal for this season is going to be with this new team?
The goal is going to be just improvement. They want to have an identity. Last year, by week 11, usually by week 4, you can kind of see what a team's identity is going to be. Mm-hmm. Last year, by week 11, we're still sitting there going, "What is their identity? What are they trying to be? This is chaos." So I think they want to get an identity. I think that identity is going to be ran with the running game. I mean, I really think they want to run the ball, and that's going to take the offensive line playing better than it did last year. And we brought in some key running backs, a couple rookies that I think are really going to do well. And Ashton Genty, who actually played really well last year for as bad as the line and everything else was. So
yeah,
I'm very happy that they brought a fullback back into the mix. I think that's going to help a lot too. But I think their identity, is they really want to run first to open up the pass. So I think that's what they're looking to do.
So then, Wyatt, what do you think success is going to look like for the offense at the end of the season?
I mean, I think in terms of the offense, Raider Chavez hit the nail on the head with that take. I did want to build on it. In terms of the run game, they do want to, emphasize the run game a lot, often and early. And I feel like when you think run game, you think of, old school smash mouth football. That's not necessarily the case with Clint Kubiak's styled offense, because he has a lot of new modern elements that he kind of implements into a bunch of pre-snap, motioning and formations like that. And I think when it comes down to it, the Raiders really want to get more effective in the run game, because when they're able to run the ball, then opposing defenses have to respect your passing game, So if you can't run the ball, I mean, they can just sell out on the pass every single time. That's kind of what happened last season. I mean, defenses, they knew, and when we were throwing it, they knew they would just send the house at Geno Smith and our, dysfunctional offensive line. And, things just didn't really work out well, despite having one of the most talented running backs in the league in Ashton Genty. So Hopefully, I'm hoping that Clint Kubiak can kind of unlock, our key players, the run game, key players being Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. And yeah, hoping to see more of a balanced offense overall.
It should be a hell of a lot more balanced with the Kubiak system because of the fact that last season, I mean, he's a great coach, but I mean, there was just a lot that just Pete Carroll just didn't seem to do right, or at least his staff didn't do right. Because when we looked at it, on his offensive line, only one player played every single game, started every single game. So all that rotation just didn't. So, I mean, and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me when I say this, but I don't entirely put the blame 100% on Geno Smith. I'll say he's more in the 80% range. But I mean, it's like to be able to rotate all those players that many times. I mean, who is really going to catch on to the scheme and really be able to protect and know? I was watching highlights of the game. There were just players who just did not know where to go and who to block. The only one player that did actually start every single game was Glaze and was DJ, and that was the only one that they ended up having in there that that really knew what to do going into the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't put all the blame on Geno Smith. I am glad he's gone though. I think it was time for the Raiders to move on and get themselves a young rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that the whole offense, Chip Kelly wasn't wanted by Pete Carroll from what I've been hearing, because now stuff's starting to leak and come out about the dysfunction from last year, and it sounds like ownership hired Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
And not Pete Carroll. And those two never got along. They said in the building, those guys wouldn't even talk to each other. And it was just a disaster from the get-go. Chip Kelly, I think, is a fraud when it comes to the NFL. He needs to stick to college. And it was just dysfunction all around. And Pete Carroll, and people were getting fired that shouldn't have, not everybody that should have got fired last year. And now Pete Carroll's son being one of them. From what I hear, he wasn't coaching or teaching, or half the offensive linemen didn't know what their assignments were. The offensive line and Geno were having their own meetings to figure out blocking schemes and doing things like that. So it was a mess all around. I can't completely blame Geno, but when you go and flip off the fans, good riddance. See you later.
Yeah.
I don't need you. I don't need you there. But yeah, I think it was just chaos all around, and the team needed a fresh look, fresh move team that's on the same page. And I think that's what they're working towards now. And also, if we're going to go with talking about the line too, yes, there was injuries, so that caused people to play, people to play earlier than they wanted to, but they were also playing people out of position. They moved Jordan Meredith to center, which made no sense. So, doing things like that. JPJ couldn't stay healthy. So, yeah, I mean, and DJ Glaze was asked to do things that don't fit his scheme. So, after having a really good rookie year, DJ Glaze kind of had a down year last year, but hopefully that all changes now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to bring up in regards to what you're talking about, like identity and stuff. I don't think a lot of people probably realize this or even thinking about it, but when we were talking about the defense last week, it kind of brought me to something that I wanted that I just kind of realized after looking more into the offensive things. The Raiders have actually secretly, and nobody's been talking about it, they've actually been building up to this year. And I'm going to tell you why, because it all really started back with this guy, okay, Brock Bowers. In 2024, they ended up picking him up 13th overall in the first round, and he was arguably became the best tight end in the league. Then the very next year, we get in the first round again, and then who do we get? We get a running back. All right, one of the best ones in here. Like you said, he had a great year last year despite of the line. I think he ran for somewhere like 12 or 1,300 yards or something like that. I may be off by a couple of hundred yards. And I mean, just the dude is a beast behind the line. And not to mention, don't forget that also in that same 2024 draft, they ended up picking up DJ Glaze and JPJ. So they had their line. I think they had like 8 picks that season, or 8 picks in that draft. They went 4 offense and 4 defense. And I don't think a lot of the defensive players that are still there, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. But yeah, they went 4 offense and 4 defense. And then this year, of course, we go with our quarterback, Mendoza right there. And then they just went defense heavy, going offense a little bit later on in there. So I think they were secretly building up to this level. And I'm really surprised at what's going on. And not only just to mention that we got probably, I'm not going to say that he is the best quarterback in the draft, but he is the perfect quarterback for our system that we got going in because we got Kubiak in there. So this right here, I think is going to really, really set the tone and really scare a lot of offenses especially in our division, but a lot of defenses in the league. So I'm so looking forward to seeing how these guys are going to be able to, to perform this season.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, looking back at those last couple of first rounders, they weren't even necessarily like going into the draft, like hunting for those. Well, obviously the Mendoza one, they wanted a quarterback, but before that, I don't think they went into that 2024 draft, having Brock Bowers, like number 1, like going all out for Bowers. Otherwise they might've traded up for him because he was supposed to go higher than that. They were kind of operating on a best player available type of approach. And it somehow it worked out for them, getting Brock Bowers in 24, Genty in 25, and then obviously Mendoza, like you said, being the best QB prospect in this class, while also being the best fit for the Raiders. It all kind of worked out well. And I don't think they necessarily, wanted to get the number 1 pick last year by being the worst team, in 25, but it just, the cards happened to, fall that way. And I think that the Raiders offense is fully equipped to, be much more successful this season.
No, I think the dysfunction last year was kind of a blessing in disguise for the team. They were trying to do like a build the team, but win now philosophy. And it was a disaster. It didn't work out. And, I actually think when you talk about those pieces that they've added over the last couple of years, I actually think the roster was better than a 3-win team last year. I just think it was more the dysfunction than it was the actual players. Not saying they had like a great roster and they were going to be some great team, but they were better than where they landed. And that's why I think they're actually a little more ahead this year with the moves they made than people are giving them credit for. Because I don't think the roster was as bad as a 3-win team last year.
Well, Rich Eisen had him at like I think he said somewhere like a 9 to like a 11-win team that year, and then he said he ate those words at the end of the season. I was watching that episode, man. It was that sucked. So Chavez, going back to your O-line talk that you were mentioning, is it too early for you to look at the line like right now or who they have? And I think that they can consistently protect long enough for plays to develop.
No, I don't think it's too early at all. I think they have the pieces. I think they had the pieces last year, but obviously with JPJ and Colton Miller getting hurt, that hurts a lot of things, and that's going to be a key this year too. Mm-hmm. And one thing people aren't talking about is everybody's already putting JPJ in a starting position. I really think his health can knock him out of a starting position this year. If he goes out there and he can't stay healthy all year, you got a guy like Zune that people really like that we drafted this year that could be gunning for his job. So I don't think it's I can't talk. I don't think it's a for sure thing that JPJ starting to guard. I think he has a lot of competition at that position now. But really, I think he's the better one, but it's all going to depend on his health. He hasn't proven to be healthy yet.
What about you? What do you think about it?
Oh, yeah, I think health is definitely a big factor. And I do like how they bolstered the offensive line depth a bit, bringing in Spencer Burford from the Niners, drafting, like you said, Zune. And then I think guys like Charles Grant and Charles Grant. And then who was the other lineman?
Caleb Rogers.
Yeah, Caleb Rogers. Thank you. Yeah, those two guys. I think those two guys are primed to have a nice season this year if they get a chance. And you get guys like Colton Miller and Jackson Powers. Hypothetically, if they're healthy, I don't see. And then adding Tyler Linderbaum as well, a top 3 center in football. I don't see how like the line isn't significantly improved from last year. And then, switching over to a zone blocking scheme as well, I think that's also going to work wonders. And you look back at last season, I mean, the offense, Brock Bowers, he was thriving that first game. I believe he had over 100 yards in the first 3 quarters, goes down. And then he was never really the same until what was it? He came back week 4 or something like that. And he wasn't really the same until mid-season. So injuries are always going to be a factor, over a full season. But the fact that the Raiders were able to bolster depth at key positions on offense, specifically the offensive line, I think is very promising.
So then you would say that that they're better suited for zone schemes other than a power running?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think time will tell with that to make sure. But, I mean, the line last season just wasn't fit for the scheme that they were going for. So I think completely changing it up and getting a guy that wants to run the ball in Clint Kubiak, the line is going to be essential for the run game. And I think that Kubiak's going to harp on the line, making sure that they're in the right position to let the run game and quarterback passing development kind of unfold. So then
if speaking in the sense of injuries, then if they were to get hit with injuries, do they have enough depth to be able to cover that? So let's just say, and I hope I'm not jinxing it, but let's just say JPJ does go down. Who do you think would be a better fit to be able to back him up or to kind of fill his position?
I mean, I think seeing a guy like
Zoom and Caleb Rogers sitting there, and don't forget we still have Meredith, who played well at guard 2 seasons ago. He just had a down year last year because they put him at center, which he's never played in his career. So I think the line is a little more suited for injuries this year. And don't forget about Burford that Wyatt brought up that we got from the Niners also. So I think we have pretty good depth on the line right now.
I will say, though, that right tackle position, if we're to talk about any spot on the line that might be a bit susceptible to an injury bug, would be the right tackle. I mean, right now they have DJ Glaze projected to start there, with Colton Miller assuming he's healthy on the left side. And then Charles Grant, I believe he's more of a left tackle on the left side. So if Miller were to get hurt, Grant could be there. But can Grant play on the right side if Glaze is either ineffective or gets hurt? I don't know, because after that, the guys that I'm looking at, it looks pretty thin on that side of the line. And that was kind of a position that people were talking about. Are they going to draft more depth there? They did get Trey Zune, and I think Trey Zune's pretty versatile on that line. But that right tackle position is a little bit concerning to me.
So would you think that with that O-line that they're going to be building a scheme around the quarterback's strengths or forcing him into a system?
I mean, I think Kubiak kind of has a set system. I mean, he comes from the Kyle Shanahan tree. So they like to run, kind of an outside zone system. They like to, get their playmakers the ball in space, particularly their running backs. So that's why I think that, Ashton Genty and Washington Jr. out of Arkansas, I think those two are going to absolutely thrive. And I think that's going to help the quarterback, whether it's Cousins or Mendoza, kind of be able to get the ball out quickly to the receivers, kind of in space, or their running backs, sling it out wide. And I think it's really going to help pretty much the entire offense succeed. And I think it's going to be more of the quarterback stepping into the coach's system, because that's what they're bringing Clint Kubiak in to do. Ultimately, he was the top offensive play caller on the open market, and they brought him in here because they want to completely, decimate last year's system and implement a new identity for this offense. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I think the quarterbacks we have are fit for this system. Yes, they are going to be forced to run his system, but I think for one, Kirk Cousins has proven he can do this system. He played well in this system under Clint Kubiak before. So, and I think this fits Mendoza's skill level really well too. So, yeah, I think it's going to work all around.
So what do you guys think? Wyatt, I'll ask you first about it. How soon do you want to see Mendoza start?
I mean, I've kind of just gone by this same motto like the entire time. I think whenever Mendoza's ready to start, whenever he proves to the Raiders that he's ready, I think that he should start. And I know not everyone's going to agree with that, because some people want to, they want to have him sit a full year behind Kirk Cousins. And I'm okay with that if he's not fully ready. But if Mendoza is fully ready to go in there and show what he did at Indiana and translate it to the NFL, I don't see why they wouldn't put him in there, because they used the number 1 overall pick on him to get him. Yeah. He is the future. And while I do like Kirk Cousins, I think he's probably the best bridge quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
They're not going to prevent that from letting Mendoza come in if he's ready to go.
Well, they're saying that in camp right now that Mendoza is picking up everything fast right now. Like he's doing everything on point, making the throws. He's connecting with the receivers and the tight ends. He's handing off the ball really well. He does not seem to be struggling at all. So go. Let's just say, I mean, this is the question that everybody's always been asking. If Kirk Cousins starts winning, and he's on a roll winning, do we just keep him in there? Or do you just throw Mendoza in there like, okay, let's give him a chance? I mean, if we're above 500, let's say like, I don't know, week 8, do you say, all right, let's give the young man a shot because we only picked him number 1 for a reason? Or do you leave Cousins in there?
That's if Kirk Cousins starts. There's a good chance that Mendoza starts week 1.
You think
Mendoza
so?
comes in, there's an absolutely good chance he does. If he goes out there when training camp starts in July and he's the best quarterback on the field, he's starting. They're not going to sit him just because they feel they need to sit a rookie quarterback. If he's and then Kirk Cousins even said this, the best quarterback needs to play.
Yes.
And if Mendoza is the best one out there, or even if they're equal, you put Mendoza out there. And you have Kirk Cousins as a backup. But if they do feel he needs to sit and needs some time, and you start Cousins, and Cousins is winning, then Cousins keeps playing. If Mendoza has to sit the whole season because Cousins is winning games, then you sit him the whole season. You don't just put Mendoza in just because you're like, oh, okay, it's week 6. Let's put him in now. No, if Cousins winning, you keep Cousins in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's literally like a best case scenario win-win. I mean, either way for Raiders fans and the Raiders as a whole, it's going to be a good situation. You know, let's say, one scenario, Mendoza's not ready. They have Cousins go in. And whenever Mendoza is ready, he comes in. And or Mendoza, he's just right out of camp. He's slinging the ball around. He's fit perfectly in the system. He starts week 1. So I think either way, it's going to be good. And if Cousins does go on a win streak, I mean, it is kind of enticing to, kind of keep riding with him. And, that's probably what they'll end up doing if he does end up, starting out and they have a winning, let's say they're like 4-1 their first 5 weeks, and he's a big part of that. But at the end of the day, like Mendoza is going to be the franchise quarterback ultimately. And I think it's more important to prioritize his development long-term. Not saying to neglect Cousins, but I think Cousins is the absolute best insurance policy possible in the NFL right now, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely he's been in the league for Phil, was it 15 years? He's done well. So his stats, 67 completion rate. I mean, 40,000 plus yards, 276 touchdowns, 113 interceptions. So it's not bad. 96.4 rating. So, I mean, he did well. He's doing well for his career. So
it's funny. I was watching a video. Him and Peyton Manning did a video that I saw on YouTube, and they were together. And Kirk Cousins actually has a better rating than Peyton Manning's career rating. So Cousins was messing with him about that on there.
That'd have been nice to have that on here. So we're gonna say that that Mendoza is gonna be fit for this scheme for whatever Kubiak got's planned for him.
I have a sneaky suspicion that he starts week 1. I just think he's going to be that good.
So do we get like super hyped if he starts going off in like, the first couple of throws in preseason or if they play him at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's your rookie quarterback. You want to see him play. So yeah, you get hyped, but you got to take it with a grain of salt because it is preseason, but it's also his first play in an NFL uniform. So,
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm always screaming Super Bowl during the preseason, so it's like we always look good.
I'd ease up on that a little bit, but
hey, I don't care. They could get money back from a machine. I'll be like, we're going to the Super Bowl.
You could scream it, just don't go put no money down in Vegas.
No. That is one thing that is one thing I don't do. I'm so superstitious about it. I will never, even if I know the Raiders are going to win, I never bet on Raiders winning or even losing for that matter, because it always goes the wrong way for me. So yeah, don't even worry about that. No, we are good. So yeah, we covered actually some really good stuff, because I know there was something I wanted to ask about, whether or not that they were using their best players in space, or were they, or is it a wasted talent? But I think they kind of did that last season with Pete Carroll and his staff. with this offense that you're looking at it right now, and like I said, the biggest, when I asked it earlier, that one of the questions that are most important question to ask was, are they able to finish drives when it matters? So does this squad look like they can actually finish drives in the red zone when it gets down to it?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you think red zone, especially when you're like, 5 yards, 5 yards in, I mean, you're thinking run game, at least on the early parts of the down or early downs. And I mean, this offense seems much better set up, much better suited than it was last year. I mean, to be honest with you, they really didn't even get to the red zone that often last year. So we didn't even really know how the red zone offense looked. But obviously in years past, Derek Carr, as great as or as good as he was, he was always kind of inefficient in the red zone. And I think with Clint Kubiak's offense, if you look back at like what it was like in Seattle, they were pretty darn efficient in the red zone. I think a lot of that had to do with getting their players in space. Because, with Ashton Genty, I mean, last year there were a lot of plays where they were just trying to force him the ball, which, obviously they should be doing that. But he didn't really have much space to operate on a lot of his touches. Yeah. I will say it got a little better down the stretch. He started breaking out. But I think this season, especially like in the red zone, like they're going to have like a multitude of options. I mean, Mike Washington, he's 6'2", big power back. Like they can, and then, the fullback as well. And then, Bowers and Mayer, I mean, that's one of the best 1-2 tight ends in football. Yeah. So I think that they're going to definitely be able to scheme their guys open in the red zone and have success there.
Brock Bowers, that's all you got to say. Throw into the end zone, not before the line and hope that they break a tackle and run in. Throw the damn ball in the end zone and get Brock Bowers to jump up and get that ball. No, you can't guard him. So, yes, we should be scoring. If Ashton can't run it in on first or second down, you toss that ball to Brock Bowers in the end zone, touchdown. So it needs to be better. It has to be better. We got those are the only pieces you need right there. Genty and Brock Bowers. Those guys are scoring your touchdowns right there.
Yeah, I'm ready to scream Brock Bowers this
That's
year.
right.
Hey, shout out to Mike. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm ready to scream that out this year. So then who would this team be better built around? With the run game instead of forcing the modern pass, or what do you think? So let me rephrase the question. Would this team be better off building around the run game instead of forcing a modern passing heavy offense?
They are going to be built around the run game. That's what Clint Kubiak does. Mm-hmm. And right now we don't know what we have at wide receiver right now. So we have a lot of guys, and I think we have a lot of number twos at wide receiver. I am excited to see what Jalen Naylor can do now that he's going to have a more prominent role with the Raiders compared to what he had in Minnesota. I have a friend, Cody, that I work with. He's a big Minnesota Vikings fan, and he loves this guy. He was sad that he left and signed with the Raiders. He actually thinks now that he's going to be focused a little more right now, since we don't have a true number one in Vegas, that he's going to go off and show some things. Smaller wide receiver. He's not a big guy that's going to go up and out jump somebody, but he's fast. We got a lot of speed at receiver right now. And but we also still don't know. We just don't have that true number one. So Brock Bowers is pretty much our number one target as a tight end. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how they work this, work our wide receivers in, and see if we have see if Besh has a better year. We drafted a couple guys last year that we still need to see from them, and Besh and Dante Thornton Jr. So another guy with speed. That guy's big and speed. So
yeah,
Trey Tucker's in a contract year, and you know how players play in a contract year. So there's a lot of wait and see with the wide receivers right now.
So you good with that idea too, Wyatt? Building around the run game.
Yeah, and like Raider Chavez said, I mean, that's what the Clint Kubiak offense is all about. It's all about establishing that run game early, and then that opens up the pass later on. Or, I mean, if they're expecting the run game early, then you hit them with the pass early on. I mean, that's kind of what Clint Kubiak's offense is all built around. And in terms of the wide receivers, I mean, Deontay Thornton, he is like literally, if you were to build a wide receiver in a lab, he's your guy. I mean, he's like 6 foot. What is he, like 6'3" to 5"? blazing speed. I mean, there were multiple plays last season where he was right there. He made all the right route, right plays, and it just somehow wasn't able to come down with the catch downfield. And I think that they have a lot of deep threats in the wide receiver core with all their speed. I think that's going to definitely benefit Cousins or Mendoza, whoever is playing quarterback. It doesn't matter. They're going to have speed down the field, and in short situations, they can run it or they can get it to either of their two tight ends, particularly Bowers in the passing game. But I actually think Michael Mayer, I mean, he's probably one of the most underrated tight ends in football. I mean, he's a great blocker, and he could honestly be a tight end one on like half the teams in the NFL, dare I say. I mean, he's a good talent. I mean, he was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, so I feel like the offense has more weapons than it feels like, because I know when you look at the wide receiver room, I mean, it doesn't look too exciting, at least on paper. But, Jalen Naylor, I mean, Naylor, he was extremely explosive with the Vikings, but playing behind guys like Jefferson and Addison, I mean, you're not going to get that many targets, and he's going to get a chance to prove himself, as well as, Beck, Thornton, and Tucker, and even Malik Benson too.
Right.
Yeah. Malik Benson, I'm ready to see him in action, man. That dude, he's fast. You talk about speed, height, and strength. That man got all three of them right there. So, yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of competition in the wide receiver area. So I'm really looking forward to being able to see all those guys get on the field. I think preseason is definitely going to set a tone for a lot of guys are going to play really, really hard, and this system is well fit for a lot of players that are coming in right now. Fresh players, nobody has an ego. We don't have a lot of old bitter veterans that are on their way out. We didn't sign or pick up anybody that's like, okay, this is my last year, or I'm too good for this or whatever. So it's going to be a really good season. I think that we're on the right track when it comes to that. Who do you guys think is under the most pressure to perform? Whether they were signed or drafted.
I don't think anybody's under pressure this year, to be honest with you. I think everybody is building something together right now. So I don't really see if I guess if you want to put pressure on somebody, it's what I brought up earlier, JPJ staying healthy.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that his job's in question if he doesn't. So if we're going to put pressure on somebody, I'd say JPJ's probably got the most pressure on him on that offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that Jack Best just being a second-round pick, maybe not necessarily he has pressure, but I feel like fans in general are kind of expecting a little bit more out of that player, particularly. I mean, taking him in the second round last year, people had high hopes for him, and it wasn't even necessarily, his fault last year. I mean, the offense as a whole wasn't really scheming their playmakers, open very often or getting the ball to them. So I think Raider fans definitely want to see Jack Best, produce a little bit more than he did last year. And then one other thing I wanted to add was that I'm kind of glad, it's kind of relieving not having an alpha number one wide receiver, because that can get, I mean, those guys, they like expect you to throw them the ball 10 times per game. I mean, we know how it was when we had Devontae Adams. As much as we liked his talent, he was kind of, he wasn't happy when he wasn't getting the ball 10 plus times, regardless win or loss. And I feel like having a young quarterback like Mendoza, that's a lot of additional pressure to have. So I feel like this offense is going to be free flowing. He's going to be able to get it to whoever's open, rather than, having, that, monkey on his shoulder being like, oh my God, I have to get this guy the ball 15 times a game. No, that's not going to happen. And Brock Bowers is maybe the one guy you can make an argument about in terms of we have to get him the ball. But I mean, Bowers is such a big open target. He's open frequently. I don't think that's going to be an issue for either of the quarterbacks, particularly Mendoza, though.
And that's the thing. I think when you have a guy like Brock Bowers, you don't necessarily need that number one wide receiver. And when I say that, I mean, you don't really, this year we didn't need to go out and spend a bunch of money in free agency to get that number one wide receiver guy. We were never going to fix every little hole this offseason. We still have next draft. I think next year they'll go into the draft looking for a wide receiver if one of these guys doesn't all of a sudden come out and look like they're going to be a number one. But I agree. I agree with Wyatt that I really think this offense can flow just fine without a true number one wide receiver.
And going in regard, jumping off of your fans' comment, I wanted to ask it. That are the fans like quick to label a player a bust after one bad season, or let alone
Yes.
one bad game?
Yes, I talk to fans all the time.
Fans I hang around, definitely. Myself included sometimes, you know.
Because there's some fans that are out here right now that just were not happy that we picked Mendoza. And I was like, I don't know why you would say that, you know, and this is something that even Chavez even brought up to me one time. He was like, you know, you even said it in one of the podcasts, that we got a player who's a winner. He's not out there trying to look flashy or do anything like that. We got a player who's a winner. And that's what we need. We don't need somebody that's out there trying to just, say, yeah, I look good behind the trophy, or I want this flashy thing and all that. No, he's out there to win games. And I don't have the clip, but man, Dan Orlovsky, I forgot that he even played in the NFL, but he was over there, like, he's really getting down on Mendoza, trying to point out and make him look bad. And other analysts were out there kind of defending him, not defending Orlovsky, but defending Mendoza. When he was talking about how there was like 6 to 8 games during his college during the season that he was starting off really slow. Like, he threw an interception, he was throwing to the ground, he was scrambling, he was doing whatever, but he still won the game. So the question with that would be, is that, would you rather have a quarterback that would start strong and end weak, or start weak and end strong? Easy question. You know what I mean? You'd
just
rather
win, baby.
Not just win, right?
Just win, baby.
So yeah, so I mean, so that's just, you know, it's I when I heard him talk about that, like, I was like, I used to like listen to him and watch him a lot, but then after he started talking like that, he's just getting down, probably looking for clicks. But that was probably
you're always gonna get the haters. You're always gonna get people. You're never gonna get 100% people thinking we made the right pick, or there's always going to be a negative. And then same thing with the team. It's a lot of fans, especially with what we've gone through over the last 23 years, a lot of fans don't really want to get excited because they keep getting let down. So Mendoza, the Raiders, everybody just has to prove it. That's when people are going to start talking. If Mendoza goes out there and has a great year, his rookie year, all that talk's going to go away, and people are going to go, man, the Raiders have something. That was a good move that they got Mendoza. So same thing with the team itself. Everybody's going to say we suck until we prove that we don't anymore. It's easy for us to talk about all these moves, everything they've done, say, man, this looks good, this is going to work out. But we don't know, and we're not going to get the respect until they actually go out there and do it. Because there's been many, many, many times where we thought they did the right thing. Last year, I thought they had a decent enough roster to win, 6-7 games. They only won 3. But I will say one thing we haven't really talked a whole lot about. I like running backs we brought in this year behind Ashton Genty. I think we have a 1-2-3 punch back there right now, because I'm not sleeping on Embry that we got from Indiana also as a undrafted free agent. He had a really good season with Indiana, and he has good rapport with Fernando Mendoza. So I think this run game is going to be good. You got 3 guys you can throw at teams. You give Ashton a break, he runs someone over, breaks off a long run, you give him a break, and you bring in Montgomery, and then that guy's running people over. I mean, you could if all 3 of these guys pan out, well, we already know how big he is, but if the other 2 guys pan out, dude, we can wear defenses down, because nothing wears them down more than a running back running you over, getting yards, things like that. So if you can keep bringing in a fresh guy to run the ball, I mean, I really think we could beat these guys down, and then the quarterback doesn't have to do so much out there.
Yeah, White, if you were going to say something, just give me a second. I wanted to go on his stats. So last season, Hemby had 1,000.
Washington. I meant Washington, not Montgomery, by the way.
So last season, Hemby actually busted for 1,120 yards, 7 touchdowns on 230 carries, averaging 4.9 yards per carry in 16 games. So that's, and one of his key performances that he had an 89-yard rush for a touchdown in the 2026 Rose Bowl against Alabama. So yeah, he definitely had a successful season last year. And yeah, with being, his familiar, like I said, Mendoza's familiarity with the players, to whether it's a wide receiver or a running back, I think that's going to put him in a very comfortable spot, and he's going to have a lot of success at that spot. And our run game is going to be vicious.
No, it is, yeah. And I think one other thing on the offense that we haven't covered too much is, I bringing in Tyler Linderbaum. His strength is run protection, like making the run game effective up the middle. And I think, and then you add into the equation these running backs that we brought in, Washington Jr. and Hemby, and then obviously Ashton Genty. I mean, and then even the fullback. I mean, we have a multitude of options. We can run up the middle, or we can kick it out wide. With this zone blocking scheme, I think it's going to be allow for a much more free flowing kind of. It's just going to open up a lot of options for the run game. We don't have to run it up the middle every time, but if we do, we have pretty much the best run blocking center in football. Paving the way up the middle with all these dynamic running backs that we've brought in.
And think about this too. Talking about all the running backs. Ashton Genty last year had a decent season, and he was getting hit behind the line before he could even break a move. So he was breaking tackles and gaining yardage, or just getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, there was constantly a guy in his face every time the ball was handed off. I can only imagine what he's going to look like if he gets really good blocking in front of him and can actually make it to the line of scrimmage before a player is there to touch him. So that's one thing. I mean, crazy that he had the year he did, and he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage so much. So we'll see if that blocking's good, man. It'd be nice to like that. He didn't get hit behind the line of scrimmage, and look how well he ran.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to put the hit down, but we don't want him taking them hits like that every single time. I mean, yeah,
he
every
gives
now and then
the hits.
He definitely gives them, but at the same time, you don't want him always taking those hits and wearing his body down so quickly. So we want to be able to, give him that protection, at least give him some. He has great vision. He has great speed. And obviously you can see that he has a strength. If we can give him another opening, I mean, he's going to go for at least 1,500 yards this next season. So I'm predicting 1,500. I'm going to just say
it. It can definitely happen.
It can happen.
Yeah, we just need to get him in space, because he's proven that when he has room to run, I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the league, talent-wise. And I think outside of Raider fans, I don't think a lot of other people around the league really know. Like, I mean, obviously everyone saw him in high school, college at Boise, but I don't think everyone really knows how good he actually can be other than Raider fans. I mean, because, he didn't really get too much chance to show off his talent last year, getting hit behind the line of scrimmage so frequently. But if they're able to get him in space more this season, he might lead the league in rushing. He could even receive the ball too. So
yeah,
he could be an all-purpose back there. And then you add in Mike Washington as well. I mean, the running game is going to be formidable, I think.
Well, like I said, a lot of this I want to say is because of the coaching and who they brought in. I think Kubiak did an excellent job during the draft, working with Spy Tech, and I'm so happy that the Raiders organization allowed them to do exactly that by picking the players. Also, with that being said, Coach Kubiak has some really good things to say about his coaching staff, in particular his new offensive coordinator, and he was on JT the Brick. And this is what he had to say. So I'm going to go on
about putting this coaching staff together, from experience to some of the younger coaches who you were able to reward.
Yeah, I think experience is the number one thing that we were looking for here. Andrew, I've worked with him many stops, and Andrew is a really talented coach. He's a phenomenal teacher of the quarterbacks, very demanding, very detailed, very prepared. He's been my right-hand man for many years, and I'm just really, really fortunate to have Andrew here.
All right. And with that, I want to go on ahead and bring us to the best part of the show, a little thing that we like to call
4th and Wyatt.
Trust me, I got this.
And of course, we trust you with everything going on. So with that, man, break it down to us. What do you think about this coaching staff going into the new season?
Couldn't be more excited. I mean, last season, there were a bunch of rumors about us getting Ben Johnson, the trending offensive mind. young offensive mind, and he went to the Bears. And this year, we get our version of Ben Johnson. I mean, we saw what Ben Johnson did with the Bears last year. So I think why not have something similar like that happen with Kubiak on our team? And, they won the Super Bowl, so he might actually be even better. And I think bringing in Andrew Janoko, like you said in that video, his right-hand man, I think that is absolutely crucial for the Raiders' offensive success. And having two guys in Kubiak and Janoko that are on the same page at all times is crucial to the success of the offense. And that's why I'm expecting big things out of this offense this year. Going back to their time together, the pair worked together in Minnesota and New Orleans, where, Kirk Cousins had some of his best years. Derek Carr had a very fantastic season before he went down with that shoulder injury in New Orleans. So they clearly have a repertoire together. And then how could I forget Seattle? They literally win the Super Bowl, turn Sam Darnold into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And that offense was absolutely humming. So I think the Raiders offense is going to look similar to that this season. They're going to lean on the run game. I mean, Kubiak, he is from that Kyle Shanahan tree. And as we know, Kyle Shanahan is one of the most creative play callers, if not the most creative play caller in the National Football League. He likes to implement a lot of outside zone system and a lot of outside zone running. And I think that's what Kubiak's going to do. And they want to completely implement a new identity, and that is emphasizing the outside zone run game. And with that, that's going to open up the pass game. There's going to be a lot of vertical play action and movement, pre-snap motion, condensed formations, branching out wide in various directions. And they're going to prioritize efficiency and yards after the catch. So while they will connect with the receivers like, Benson, Thornton, Tucker, Naylor, even downfield on deep passes here and there, they're going to prioritize getting the ball out quickly, and they trust their guys to make plays after the catch. And that's what's ultimately going to make guys like Mendoza and Cousins successful. And the blocking is it is going to be the backbone of this offensive unit. There's going to be a major focus on, implementing an athletic zone blocking scheme in order to, set up everything, set up the table, if you will, for the pass game and run game to fully flourish. And obviously they had a major focus on that in this offseason, bringing in Tyler Linderbaum, making him the highest paid center of all time, and, drafting Trey Zune as well. And the overall outlook for this Raiders offense, they're going to be trying to generate explosive plays while stabilizing the interior offensive line. And ultimately they want to maximize their elite playmakers in Genty and Bowers, and even Jalen Naylor breakout season could be coming on the horizon. And what should be a QB-friendly system, courtesy of Clint Kubiak. And I think that term QB-friendly system is going to fit perfectly for Fernando Mendoza and give him everything he needs to be a successful quarterback in this league.
So what would be the ceiling for this team if everything clicks?
Yeah, I mean, if everything clicks, this season, I'm not even necessarily looking at a win-loss projected total. I just want to see improvement and overall fluidity of the offense if we're zoning in on that side of the football. Yeah. And I think that's what's going to be in store for us with, guys like Janoko and Kubiak being on the same page and running their offense. Kubiak is going to be the ultimate play designer. It's going to be his playbook that they're operating out of. But Janoko is going to be the on-the-field in-game facilitator, and in practice, he's going to facilitate and establish Kubiak's playbook as Kubiak has designed it prior to game day. And I think that dynamic in general is going to make the offense for the Raiders much more successful. Last season, you look at it, it just seemed like nothing, like people weren't on the same page. You had Chip Kelly wanting to do one thing, Pete Carroll looking to do another, and like Tom Brady in the mix. Like, it was just an absolute mess. But I think this season, everybody seems like they're on the same page. And, what is more important than having a qualified resume as Kubiak and Janoko do, and especially doing it together for so many years? I think that is just absolutely telling of what the Raiders offense could look like.
So then one more question for you is, so with everything that you were talking about and how they're, with their players, putting them in where they're putting them at, are the coaches developing players or just cycling through talent?
I think in the NFL, as much as it kind of sounds, demeaning to kind of say, like, a lot of the NFL it comes down to coaching. And I think if Kubiak is as good of a coach as we think he is going to be. And for the record, I mean, I think he's one of the most qualified, candidates we've brought in recent years. Then I think that will kind of, everything will also, the dominoes will kind of fall after that,
Right.
If Kubiak's offense, if he can install a proper scheme and he's proven that he can do that as the head coach, I don't see why the Raiders offense can't flourish as a whole. And I think the playmakers are going to be kind of the beneficiaries of Kubiak's scheme.
Yeah, you have to teach players. You don't just cycle through them. You have to teach them. You have to work with them. You have to have them grow within your system. So, and I feel the same way as Wyatt. I can't put a win-loss on our season, but we just want to see improvement. If I am going to put a number, I mean, 6 wins would be a good season. Just double our wins from last year, but look good doing it. If they could go more, that's great. That's a plus. If they could sneak into the playoffs somehow, that's a plus. I really think if they start hitting on all cylinders, they have the team that can make a run for a playoff spot. But we have to see if it can all come together quickly. Right. We just don't know right now what it's going to look like or how it comes out or injuries or anything like that. But I think next week we'll have some fun with the schedule release coming out on Thursday. So next week, I think we'll have a little overreaction schedule release show, and
Oh yeah,
we'll go through it and give our wins and losses, and the 3 of us come up with for wins and losses with the team. So that'll be a fun show with that next week.
Well, then, with that being said, too, I got some final questions for you before we end the show, and I'll ask it again on that Thursday. What's the biggest matchup this season that you guys that you would really want to see going into the season with this team?
I think any of the division, games are going to be impactful. And I actually want to see us win at home specifically. I want to see us establish home turf and kind of defend our territory. Because we've seen away crowds. I mean, like teams like the Steelers and Chiefs, stuff like that. They'll come in and they'll take over the stadium. I think we need to kind of take what's ours. And if you're looking at a specific matchup, I definitely want to see us perform well against any of the division teams, but particularly the Chiefs, just because I feel like they're still kind of, even though they had a down year last year, I feel like they're still kind of, the team to beat in the AFC West. And they've played well against us for multiple years. So I think I would love to see them, beat them, sweep the series, and especially win the one at Vegas.
I definitely agree with the division. Division's always important, but since Wyatt already took that, I got 3 games that I want to see this year. I want to see the Raiders take out Geno Smith when they play the Jets. I want to see the Raiders take out Devontae Adams when Rams come into Allegiant Stadium. And honestly, that one doesn't really matter to me. I actually really like Devontae. It sucks what happened here with Vegas. It would have been nice if he could have stuck around, but I don't hate the guy. But of course, we got to beat those stinking pink Niners out of Santa Clara.
I forgot we played them. That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So the Santa Clara Niners, that's a game I'd like to see them win this year. If anything else, this year, if we only win 5 games, 6 games, beat the Niners. I don't want to hear from those guys this year because I'll have to hear it for 4 years till we play them again. So take out those Santa Clara Niners.
So Santa Clara Niners, yeah. There's some of them bitter folks out there. So then, Wyatt, I'll ask you this first. Is this team built for long-term success, or are they just trying to survive like right now?
I think last year they were trying to survive right now. This year they're building for something more longer term. And I think that's kind of why we're all kind of leaning in the direction of, we don't really want to put a number, a prediction, if you will, on, their win-loss total. We just want to see improvement. And, I mean, they might make the playoffs this year. I mean, that's how talented and their roster is and how qualified the coaching staff is. But at the same time, like at the bare minimum, we just want to see improvement. And after following a season like last year, like I think you can definitely improve off of that. A lot of neutral parties did rate our offseason as one of the best, if not the best, in the entire National Football League with our significant amount of cap space that we spent, and the draft going the way that it did. So I mean, we just want to see improvement at the end of the day, and yeah, that's about it, really. I mean, having Cousins and Mendoza, I think we're definitely well suited for that.
Well, definitely all the moves they're making this year is for long-term success.
Yeah.
The one thing you don't see this offseason that you've seen in the past is those 1-year contracts. Older players on 1-year contracts to prove themselves, to see if they get another contract. We signed guys under 30 to 3-year contracts, and drafted a quarterback finally, which I've been waiting for forever. And they're building this team. It seems like the whole organization for once is going in the same direction. It hasn't felt like that in a long, long time. And it feels like from everybody, from the owner down to the GM, down to the coaches, down to the janitor cleaning the bathrooms and offices, I think are all on the same page of what direction this team needs to go. And that's definitely a recipe for long-term success. So that's what they're building towards.
All right, final questions for each of you. Give me one word to describe this offense heading into the season, and what is your prediction for their record?
For the offense, I'm going to go with my one word being innovative. I want to see the offense, kind of, I think with Kubiak as well, he fits the timeline as well. I mean, I think he's one of the youngest head coaches in the league, so he fits the timeline of the long-term build with all the younger players that they brought in, players under 30 to multi-year deals. And if I had to put a win total on it, I know that the Vegas, their prediction is like, I think it's like 5. The over/under is 5.5, 6.5, something like that. But I'm gonna kind of exceed them. Not gonna put money on it, but I've been thinking 8 wins this entire time. I've looked at the schedule a little bit, and we'll get more into that next time. But I think 8 wins. I mean, that would be a significant improvement from last year, and I think that's a fair prediction to give Raider Nation.
I'm going to put a word: fast. I think there's a lot of speed on that offense. I think you'll see Ashton breaking off some runs. I think you'll see these wide receivers get into open space, catching the ball downfield. So I would say fast. You just want us to give a prediction, don't you? Even though we keep trying to say we just want to see improvement.
Hey, I gotta ask those questions, man.
I will go with the over on Vegas's 5.5. And next week when we do the draft show, I will give a number.
Damn. All right, there you go. I'm gonna go with intelligent, and I'm just gonna go on ahead and just say that they're gonna go 9 wins. I think they're gonna be above 500.
And I meant schedule show, not draft show. I don't know why I said draft.
Yes, because
I'm tired. It was a long day at work.
Well, thank you for your efforts on that one, man. We always greatly appreciate it. And Wyatt, as always, man, we always want to thank you for coming on with your knowledge and dropping everything that you drop. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And then we're going to continue to have you on, with your schedule. We know this whole week was kind of up and down, with Mother's Day and personal things going on. I got sick. And so we're great to be able to have you on and do that. With that being said, everybody that's all of you that just clicked in and watched it, drop your thoughts in the comments. Are the Raiders finally building something real, or are we headed for another frustrating season? Whatever that's going to be, go on ahead and let us know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to share on any social media platform that you got. I am your host and vice president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter. On behalf of our host, Raider Chavez, and the president of the Black Hole Sacramento chapter, and Wyatt Redding, our Raiders analyst. Thank you all. Hope to see you again on the next episode.
One thing real quick.
Drop it.
RIP Spirit Airlines. My $38 flights to Vegas are all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So RIP,
Man.
Didn't always get me there on time, but you got me there alive. We'll miss you.
Man. I wish I would have been ready for that. I mean, hell.
And I'll never forget the time that you guys upgraded Izzy to the front row, and he thought he was flying first class on Spirit all the way there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they said it was first class, but first class only meant you get like a foot extra of leg room. That's all that was. Hey, but
It
you
was
know what?
first
It was
class
good.
for Spirit.
Hey,
So
hey,
instead
you know
of
what?
$38, it was $58.
Yeah. Actually, no, they didn't charge me.
Yeah, free upgrade.
Yeah, I got a free upgrade, so I was like, all right, I'll take that.
R.I.P. Spirit.
Oh,
We'll
also,
miss
I want to give a shout
we'll
out.
miss the banana in the sky.
Also, I want to give a shout out on behalf of the TBH Sacramento chapter. Shout out to Woods and Whiskey. Good looking out on that. The whiskey was excellent when we had a chance to drink it. I don't drink no more, but you know what I'm saying. Still a shout out. And Modelo for sponsoring the TBH, and more things to come. And we hope to see you guys on the next episode. Until then, take care.